Okay, you all heard that. Okay, welcome to the Wednesday, February 9th Finance Committee meeting. It's 5:02 p.m. on Wednesday. We have a quorum of 10 people. We need to go through and identify each one of us. So I'll read off, you identify yourself when we get started here. Ron?
Ron Dyer.
Deb?
Deb McGuire.
Sue?
Sue Smith,
Jim?
Jim Newman.
Judy?
Magnani,
Eileen?
Eileen Miskell,
Kathleen?
Kathleen Berriel,
Peter?
Peter Hargraves, present.
Mary?
Mary Harris,
Nick?
Lowell.
Thank you. Okay, everybody's present and accounted for. Let me check one more time, make sure I'm not missing any of the members. No, okay, we're good. Okay, so I don't have anything to report. I have a few admin things we'll talk about at the end as we did last time, if that's okay. And so I think if, without further ado, we can get started. We'll start with the library, which is tab 7. And while you're doing that, I'm going to bring up Judy Fenwick and Linda Collins.
Keith, this is Mary Harris. I have to
Yeah, Mary.
recuse myself on this one.
Okay, just turn off your video. All right, I'm getting Linda Collins here before we start, so bear with me a minute. There's Linda, and let me get Miss Judy. There we go. Okay, hang on, I got to promote Joe LeMay here. Okay, there's 8, 10, 11. All right, we got 11. Okay, now we can get started here. There's Judy and there's Linda. Welcome.
thank you.
And so it's the library. And Peter, I think it's your account here. So if you want to kick it off. You're on mute, Peter.
I'll move the number and then tell the order of business just for guidance, so you know what's coming and you can coach me if you need to. I move $2,193,524 for the Falmouth Public Library.
Okay.
Second.
We have a second by Ron Dar.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is go through the details here on that are worth discussing on the budget information in your books, and then say something about the libraries in town and how they relate to one another, because it's relevant to this budget, as you will see. And then thank you, Linda and Judy, for joining. I think you all know that Judy is the chair of the library board of trustees, and Linda is the director of the library. So at the end, when I'm done, I will ask them to correct any errors I've made or ongoing if that's necessary. And then to talk a little bit about the Friends of the Public Library, the support fund and the state grants, just to the extent that it's differentiated from the town budget for the public library. And then they did a nice piece of work on a strategic plan for fiscal year 22-27, and just, not to take a lot of time with it, but just to highlight what they would or what they want to from that strategic plan. Okay, so hearing no objections, let's go first to the salaries page. This is pretty simple. There are no vacancies. All those positions are filled, and there are 37 people named there when you put in names for the vacancies, but the approval is for 28 full-time equivalents, and they're under that, as they classically have been, but people have part-time jobs, and so the full-time equivalence is really what we're looking for. And then they have a small amount of extra people power, and they may have a use for that, which I'll let Linda disclose if she cares to discuss that. Then just so you know about these salaries, since this was put together, a contract has been settled with I think a 2% increase for union employees. Everyone is not a union employee. The net effect will be about $30,000 of Article 7 will go to make up the gap in the salary budget for the library. Okay. Maybe it's good, I'll take a breath and just say that's really all I had to say about the people part of it here, except as it relates to the service they provide. So if there's any questions or about this section, I'll just wait and see if you have any.
Anybody have anything on that, or do you want to move ahead? I don't see anything, Peter. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So let's go then to the front page where there's itemization of all the elements of the operating budget. And like we all do, I looked at the fiscal year 22 appropriated and compared it to this year's, and highlighting the differences and trying to explain those is what I will do now. Okay. So the heat is up, but actually that's the true cost of the gas for heating the library. You know, the past few years have been exceptional with less opening and closing of the doors and traffic, and gas prices have gone up. So this is just escalation of natural resource. The two lines for the West Falmouth Library and the Woods Hole Library have increased from 19,313 to 24,650. And I'd like to say something about that after we get through going through the next three items that deserve discussion, because there's a comprehensive discussion that goes into fueling those lines and my recommendation that we fund those libraries. The next one is under computer line. You see a substantial increase there, and that's for providing improved Wi-Fi. Is my understanding a lot of people do their business from their car in the library parking lot or in the picnic tables, and otherwise use a lot of bandwidth at the library. So this is to pay for the extra cost of running Open Cape to the library, which were previously, I think we had a different service that was lower cost. The 62,000, which in the next line is just a normal price increase, is what we get billed for clams, and that's for the Falmouth Public Library and branches to have the software and that utility for searching and borrowing books. And then the other line that I highlighted here is the supply books, which, you know, if one wants to maintain a certified library, this amount has to be 13% of your operating budget for the library. And so you can calculate that yourself. The numbers are right on, but you would take out the 49,300 that's passed through to the West Falmouth and the Woods Hole Library. And for the size of our town, 13% is the amount you use to multiply by the operating budget. And then you you would come up with 278,000 for books and materials. So it's kind of, for a certified library, pressure to keep current, keep getting new publications, new books, and an incentive if they want to remain certified. So then I just want to go back briefly and talk about library certification, because the driver for that really is, I mean, it does provide an incentive for providing public service where the library is free and there aren't costs for borrowing books. And there is a certain number of hours and staff qualified at a minimum level. If you go on the state website or the commissioner's website, there's about a dozen criteria. And there's a couple that I want to talk about because it relates to those line items for funding West Falmouth and Woods Hole. But let me say the result of being certified is that we have $45,000 that flows to the town through 3 different grants from the state. And actually, those grants also benefit in proportion our West Falmouth and Woods Hole libraries. For instance, they get of the 45,000, about 1,000 goes to each of those libraries. So we're really providing them 25,650 in effect net, because being certified gives us this grant. And this grant is partly due to their efforts in spending money to maintain clams and to buy materials. And then curiously enough, smaller libraries that serve a smaller population are required to spend a higher proportion on materials, 19.5% for Woods Hole and West Falmouth. And so actually, if you look at it that way as just a financial proposition, the cost of clams for Woods Hole and West Falmouth separately, individually, is about $11,000, $12,000 a year. And the cost of materials is similar, maybe up to between 15 and 20. So actually, if somebody like me wants to know why are we giving private 501(c) organizations $25,000, the answer is that it's a pretty good bargain for the town to get the service of a library that's run like those 2 libraries, and to pay for these fairly nominal parts of their expense to be a good professional library that's free and offers services to the entire community. And while they do charge for some programs, they don't discriminate in terms of signing up from people from other parts of town. And also the state has a website with lots of data. I mean, Excel charts that take a minute to download. And then curiously enough, when you look at the statistics for interlibrary loans and that are received and that are provided, and also circulation for each of the 3 libraries, Falmouth Public, West Falmouth, and Woods Hole, they all have significant statistics in those 3 circulation criteria for certification. And the Woods Hole and West Falmouth have criteria in proportion to their size. And so basically my conclusion was that it's kind of a bargain, because their fundraising and their foundation or 501(c) investments and organization pays for us, and the town of Falmouth has access to all of this for a pretty nominal expense here. And last thing I want to say about that is, before you ask questions, if you have any, is that if you looked at this 24,000 and you looked at one of the other criterias for certification, it isn't sustainable to give the private libraries this kind of increase, or even a regular 2.5% increase, because what's going to happen if you just look at the compounding effect of increasing by 2.5%? This number, instead of 49,000, would be 60,000 in 8 years. And so why do I choose 2.5%? I'll close with this, because one of the other certification criteria is called municipal appropriation requirement. And that is to say that the libraries have to receive proportionate funding that's similar to the community and the operating budget for the other organizations in the community. And the way they do that and measure whether the library is getting proportional funding is that they look at the last 3 years of operating budget given to the library, take the average and multiply by 2.5% increase. And that's the measure of, are you funding your library sufficiently for the current fiscal year? So you can see that we'll really get in a bunch of problems if we keep increasing this money, which just goes outside of the public library. And in the future, if it gets larger and we have to continue funding to be certified, that there will be less and less money available to run the Falmouth Public Library. But right now, I think we're in balance when you consider that it pays clams and materials expenses. So I enthusiastically recommend that we go with this budget, and also in the future, I think we'll have to really think hard about further increasing it. But I mean, if there are technical questions for me or for Judy or Linda, then please go ahead. And then I'd like whomever of the two of them would like to talk about the Board of Trustees, 501(c), the support fund and the Friends, and anything else about the strategic plan. And thank you, Judy and Linda, for being here in support of this item.
All right, yeah, okay, we have Kathleen.
Yeah, just a quick question. Peter, you used 8 years as a compounding time frame for the increase. So I'd like to know why you chose that. And I'd also wonder if you knew when the last time the line items for the Woods Hole and the West Falmouth Library were increased.
So I chose 8 years to knock your socks off because it's an arbitrary number. I just wanted to see when it got to a significantly higher number, which I thought 60,000 was. And I just compounded it out until it was 60, until it was some higher number. Of course, every year it would go up and up and up and up. But what speaks to the importance of not letting it get out of hand is to say 60,000. So it's just a communication tool. And full disclosure, that's 8 years of compounding. So that's why I said 8 years. There's nothing magic about that, except that's what gets you to $60,000.
And do you know when the last time we increased those line item budgets?
I looked back in the books I had and I couldn't find it, but do you know, Linda? Or
I think Jennifer, oh, go ahead, Linda.
Jennifer, I don't.
2015.
So a considerable amount of time have elapsed over the years since we've actually increased them. So they've not got the benefit of any kind of inflation or increased cost for clams. So as clams went up, we were not increasing their appropriation to meet that demand.
So that's right, Linda, right? So, but the way you had it, I feel compelled to make an argument on not an argument, but a statement on the other side, which is the 501c3s have substantial money, just like our Board of Trustees for the public library, and it's invested. And the investment returns for the West Falmouth Library funds last year were more than the total required to run the library for a year. So I think we have to look at this, which is what changed my mind in terms of what's in it for the total, holistically, the total town of Falmouth, not just the residents of West Falmouth who like it as a clubhouse and a local library. But, and I thought my conclusion was there's a lot in it and the town is using it. And so this is justified. But it's not an appropriation. It's Linda's choice from her budget and with the approval of the Falmouth Public Library Board of Trustees to send that money to those private libraries. There's no obligation to do it.
Well, thank you for your opinion, Peter. And I remember this discussion from last year when you had stated that those two libraries had enough endowments to manage their operations. And I do remember that you were using some very old data. I'm not sure that you were able to pull their 990s for the last fiscal year, but I do know that they don't have an awful lot of wiggle room in their budgets.
Well, again, I feel compelled to respond because of the emotional nature of your statement. I had the latest 990s that were available from the federal and state websites. And actually the 990s that are generally available to the public are lagging by about 2 or 3 years. So I had the most recent statements, even though they were a couple of years old. And, I just stated the return on the endowment. Last year was an exceptional year where anyone who put their money in index funds was making 20%. And so that doesn't happen every year. But you could say if they make 8%, what would happen? I don't want to get into this discussion. That isn't what this is about, but just to basically renew your understanding of what I tried to present last year.
Any other questions for Peter? Peter, I just looking at this, when I was looking at that for those two libraries, I gave it a lot of thought about giving that money to those private libraries. And it struck me that we were getting a value that it's hard to put a dollar amount on. These are two libraries that have staffing, buildings, expenses for utilities, et cetera, et cetera. And we don't pay for that, but we get the benefit of the libraries. And I think that's worth something to the town. It's hard to put a dollar figure on that. And Peter made that point, I think, but just to kind of reiterate it, that there is a value to that somewhere. And so if part of the money we give them is for clams, and then part of that is just for the town, anybody can use that that library without a cost. They can check out books via clams. I think that's two wonderful resources for the town at a very reasonable cost. Any other, Judy, would you like to say anything in reference to the libraries or the budget?
Yes, I wanted
Yeah.
to make a comment. I used to be on the board of the Woods Hole Library back in the 90s. And when the Woods Hole Library, which is chartered as a public library, but now has 501c3 status, was the first of the two libraries to join the CLAMS network. And so I'm thinking, I don't know exactly when the Woods Hole Library started to participate as part of the pass-through with the public library, but I know that in 2015, Linda referenced the Woods Hole Library was scheduled to get X number of dollars in the operating budget, and the West Falmouth Library received a lower amount, and that on town meeting floor in 2015, Linda recalls that it was Dan Shearer who stood up and said that both libraries should get the same equal amount. And I think that's when the 19,000 came in. And then if I remember last year, or it might've been the year before, the two libraries came directly to FinCom asking for an increase, and it was deferred with asking them to come back through the regular channels. And so I think that's why this increase, which probably might have gotten passed through at this increased amount a year previously, is now at this amount. And I don't see any annual increase expected for over a decade. I'm sure the Woods Hole Library amount was static, and this number has been static, I think, since 2015. Is that correct, Linda? So it's going to be irregular.
Yes.
That would be my experience and observation. So I hope that wasn't too much history.
No. I'm glad we got to talk about this because I think it was something that jumped out to me for the past 3 years, and I'm glad that Peter got into it and you all could explain it in more in depth and people can understand it better. So I do appreciate the history. Linda, did you have anything you want to add to the budget discussion?
I didn't know. We turned in a very reasonable budget below the 2.25 that was allowed. Some of that was because the contract had not been settled yet, but I think that the library plays nice when it comes to budgets. We don't pull any punches. We always turn in just what we need.
Okay, okay. Any other questions for Peter, Linda, or Judy on the budget? Okay, haven't seen none, then let's go ahead. So the motion for the Falmouth Public Library is $2,193,524. So I'll start with Ron.
Dyer, aye.
Deb,
McGuire, aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Jim,
I'm I.
Judy,
Lignani, aye.
Nick,
Lowell, aye.
Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Kathleen,
Barrio, I.
Peter. Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
and hang on one second. Joe, you were out somewhere.
I'm out here, yeah. LeMay, aye.
Okay, thank you. So thank you. That's unanimous. I appreciate it. Judy, thank you so much for being here. And Linda, I appreciate it very much. It was nice having that history. I certainly appreciated it. So thank you very much.
And I appreciate the invitation to appear before FinCom. So-
Yeah, it's kind of good to have that extra dimension that we don't usually see when we don't have the department heads. So it was good that for a substantial budget like this to have you all here. It certainly
Thank
helps. Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Right, I'm gonna bring these two down. Let's find them here. There you are, Linda. Change role there, Judy, change role there. Okay, and I think we got it. There we go. Okay. Thank you so very much. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is we're going to jump to Public Works, which is tab 6, Facilities Maintenance.
And that would be me, Keith?
And that is Kathleen, is that you?
That's correct. And Tim was
Okay.
with me when we met with Greg Endicott. So I move $1,195,635.
Second.
Thank you. Just a couple of items to note on the salary line. It looks like there's a fairly large increase from 2021 expenditures to what was approved for 2023. Just a reminder that there were 2 vacancies that really contributed to that 2021 lower number. On the gross overtime dollar amount, you'll see that less than what was expended in 2021. And typically this is used for the shovelers in town. For natural gas, you'll see that there was a little bit of a bump up from 2021. And we are just reminding you that we converted 2 buildings to gas, the East Falmouth Fire Station and the Emerald House. So that's the increase there. Under contracted services, it does have a small amount, about $22,500 for overseeing some of the repairs and maintenance of the senior center, but it does not conflict with the senior center's budget for contracted services. And communications alarm. This is what funds the Cape Cod Alarm and the American Alarm Company. It's burglar and fire. And the only other thing to note would be that they're expecting 2 retirements in 2023 or 2024. So we will see some openings there. And if there was a wish list for Greg Endicott in the future, he would like to consider a full-time HVAC position, which would complement some of the outside service contracts that we have. Any questions?
Anybody got anything? A quick question, Kathleen. I noticed we have at the very bottom of the budget a facilities maintenance, and I assume that ties in with the custodians. Is that for all buildings in Falmouth?
It
Or
is,
is that-
it's supplies for everything, yes.
Okay, because I know that there was a custodian that used to, I think, works at the library and places like that, and I assume that's where that funding comes from for that stuff.
It does, and there is another supply line, housekeeping supplies, though that would be things like paper towels and
Got it.
tissue paper, yes.
Okay, okay. Any other questions for Kathleen or anybody for Jennifer or anything? No, it's okay. So let's go ahead and let me find this item. For facilities maintenance, the motion is $1,195,635. I'll start with Ron again.
Aye, all right.
Deb,
McGuire, aye.
Sue,
Smith, I.
Jim,
Newman, I.
Judy,
Vignani, I.
Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Kathleen,
Barrio, I.
Peter,
Hargraves, I.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Joe,
Lemay, aye.
Nick.
Full line.
And I think, yes, everybody's on the same screen. Thank you very much. That was unanimous. Next item, we're in with Deb and Sue. We got Department of Public Works Renewable Energy. It's I think just a one little tiny little thing that we had not hit. Can you do that, Sue and Deb?
Yep, I think Deb's ready to do it.
Okay, go ahead, Deb.
Or I can move $15,000 for renewable energy.
Time you get
Second.
me, time I'm talking, yep.
Okay, so we have a second with Ron. Okay, go ahead, Deb.
This has to do with the necessary expenses with the wind turbines that we have to pay regardless of the fact that they're not running.
So this is just the maintenance to keep them functional until we do something, tear them down or whatever we're going to do.
Mhm.
Okay, that's an annual thing. Any questions about that? Haven't seen none. Okay, so the motion for the renewable energy and DPW is 15,000. Ron?
Aye, all right.
Deb?
McGuire, aye.
Sue?
Smith, I.
Jim?
Newman, I.
Judy?
Vignani, I.
Peter?
Hargraves, I.
Kathleen?
Barrio, I.
Eileen?
Miskel, I.
Mary?
Harris, aye.
Joe?
Lemay, aye.
Nick?
Full line.
Okay, thank you. That was unanimous. So the next item, we move to Judy, and it's tab 3 in your book, and it's the general government. It's reserve fund. Near and dear to Judy's heart.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I move that we vote this budget in the amount of $325, $325.01.
okay. We have a
Second.
second. All right, Ron Dyer, second. Okay, you want to talk about that, or you just, anybody want to ask questions? We all know what the reserve fund is and how it needs to be used. So nothing more to say, Judy, or are you happy with it? Oh, wait a minute
No.
here, Peter has something to say.
Well, Judy was starting to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did
No,
you
go
have-
ahead, go ahead, Peter.
Well, I just wanted to ask, because I know we've talked about the reserve fund in various different contexts, what it can be used for, what it can't be used for. And so is there a simple way to describe, either by saying what it can be used for or what it can't be used for, so we have a clear understanding of what's subject to being funded by this?
Sure. You want to do that, Judy? You want me to do it?
You can do it.
Okay.
I like this, yeah.
All right. According to the Department of Revenue Division of Local Services, and this is directly out of the statute, and I'm just going to read it so I don't screw it up with trying to come up with different words. Under state statute, cities, towns, and districts can establish reserve funds to provide for extraordinary or unforeseen expenditures. So you can transfer money out of it. You cannot spend from it. Extraordinary or unforeseen expenditures refer to expenses that could not be anticipated before the setting of the tax rate or cannot be determined when the budget was approved. Now, it goes on to say in this lengthy paragraph that generally, if a diligent budget process could have anticipated the cost, it does not qualify as unforeseen. However, the definition of an emergency falls in the first instance, which is the extraordinary, to the Finance Committee to approve this amount. So the only thing I can say about it is that the connecting word is or and not an and. You don't need to meet both tests of extraordinary and unforeseen. It's either or. So does that satisfy you on that, Peter?
So just repeating it in simple language,
I thought I did that.
we can use it for something that we didn't budget for, but we can't plan to use it for spending that is expected to occur during a fiscal year.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for spending, it's for transferring to another existing
Thank you.
account.
Yep.
So the other part of this is, and I'll just throw this out for the edification of everybody, the annual cumulative reserve balance cannot exceed 5% of the prior year property tax levy in a town. I know we've talked with Nick and others about what to set the number at, and that's the only limitation. And this is actually a select board decision as to what this amount is initially set at. It's a policy thing that they come out with. So any other questions about this? Concerns, comments? Okay. So glad I was prepared with that. So the motion is for the reserve fund is $325,001. I'll start with Ron.
Aye, aye.
Deb,
McGuire, aye.
Sue,
Smith, aye.
Jim,
Newman, aye.
Judy,
Yanni, I.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Mary,
Harris, I.
Joe,
May I?
Kathleen,
Barrio, I.
Nick,
Lowell, aye.
Eileen.
Miskel, aye.
Thank you. That's unanimous. So the next item is tab 3 still, and we're in personnel. I'm not quite sure where that's at, Sue, in the, I think it's, yeah, it's Sue and
We're ready.
Eileen.
We're ready.
Where do we find that in the tab 3 here?
4 or 5 in
Okay,
after the lawyers.
the lawyers. All right, everybody find it? You ready?
I moved
Have at it.
$26,254 for personnel.
Second.
Okay, we got a second by Ron. All right, go ahead.
Not a whole lot to discuss. The professional technical training pays for consultants, staff training, the teachers to do the staff training. The technical medical services is physicals and drug testings for the employees. New employees have to have a physical. The contractual service is the HR lawyer that we keep on a retainer. And as of right now, advertising, she said, I questioned whether we were going to be short with all the open positions. And she said, right now they are on target for this year. I don't know if Eileen wants to add anything or not.
Eileen?
No, I don't have anything else.
Any questions for Sue or Eileen? Go ahead, Peter.
So I noticed as I went through the book that there are a lot of leadership positions that are open. And there are other, I'll say, staff positions that are open too. And I'm not sure. I guess it would be in this personnel budget that all the utilities and resources we use to recruit, it says here in the personnel description that recruitment and retention is part of their role. And I guess retention is pretty much up to the manager, but recruitment is personnel. So are we, do we have all the resources that we need in here? I wonder, including maybe even for some of the specialized positions where there's limited licenses and such, that we're getting the best help from consultants or otherwise, instead of just throwing ads at the problem?
Well, I think they advertise in a lot of the specialty journals for their jobs. It's not just advertising in the newspaper. A lot of it goes to the specialty journals. And she did say right now they are interviewing an awful lot of those open positions, but she said they are on target this year for their advertising budget. So she's assuming what was allotted to them will work for next year.
That answer your question, Peter, or do you want some more
Is
information?
that what you were gonna say, Jennifer?
Yeah, I was gonna, mirror what Sue said. They do a lot of advertising, in the specialty journals, associations, a lot of,
Okay,
these department head positions have associations, and we advertise there and recruit through there, which is not, expensive. And I did want to say that there is a lot of interviewing going on right now with a lot of these department head positions. So
yeah,
definitely moving forward. You're welcome.
thank you.
I think I heard somewhere, Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, don't we use some kind of, for some of these upper level positions, we use some kind of service that identifies and gets people, and or is that something I just didn't understand how that works?
Well, we don't contract a service for recruitment, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, that's what I was asking. Okay.
Yeah, we don't do that. I know that with certain specialty positions, though, we're members, like, the government positions, and we're all members of associations. And so we reach out within our association. So Denise is part of a personnel association, and then that we'll have a local group, and then we have a national group.
Okay.
So they reach out for these, but like planner, they would reach out because, a planner is really, a government position. With IT director, they would reach out through associations, but then advertise maybe in some of the technical journals.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. Thank you. Any other questions for anybody on this?
Julian just put a note in, if you saw that, Keith.
Oh, okay. Let me get Julian, bring him in on this then real quick. If you give me 1 second. Thank you for that, Eileen. Let me get Julian in here. He's going to be here hopefully in a second. Oh, there he is. Let's find him now.
Julian.
I thought I had him. Let me try again. There he is. Oh, he's turning on his camera now, and then we need his, see if I got him here somewhere.
Here he is.
We got him. Hey, Julian. Hi.
Yeah, I'm happy to provide a supplementary comment if that's
Please.
appropriate, Mr. Chairman.
Please, please.
Yeah, I assure you that the town does a whole lot more than just routine advertising for a search process. As I noted in the chat comment, personnel makes extensive use of online resources. ZipRecruiter is one such example. There are many others, and we have candidates come to us through website notices that are routinely posted, through online search engines, through Massachusetts Municipal Association resources, and through the conventional paper advertising, as well as professional journals that have been talked about. So it's very extensive. I did give a recent update to the select board as well at their past meeting on the status of certain selected positions. And as has been noted, we are very, very intensely involved in interviewing right now. And there was a recent news article that talked about challenges on filling positions. And I assure you that as a municipality, we are not alone in having challenges, pandemic and other issues related with people less willing to relocate and commit for higher level positions. We've had a number of people, unfortunately, apply, go through multiple interview cycles and then withdraw. And it's been occasionally we've had to start searches over as a result, but it is just the nature of the situation now. We continue to work it. We're very pleased, as I think the Finance Committee saw, that we were able to successfully conclude the very diligent town council search process with an extraordinarily well-qualified individual, Maura O'Keefe, who'll be joining us on Monday, March 7th, as successor to Frank Duffy. And we are in final interview positions with several others that we just hope do not withdraw before we complete the process. But there's a lot that has to go forward. Reference checks, background checks, Corey checks, things of that nature that are much more extensive and rigorous than most private sector hiring. Takes a lot longer, and when you're dealing with the public and frequently with interaction with young people as well, there are many more checks and balances that we have to go through. But we're happy to be moving forward extensively, and I assure Finance Committee our resolve has not changed in that regard.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Julian. Yeah, Deb, go ahead.
I'm just curious, Julian, or do the price of housing really turn off some applicants? I see these top level positions and what their pay level is. And, I mean, to buy a nice house for a seasoned person, they're just astronomical now. It must be scaring people, or am I imagining that?
Well, that's a great question. It's come up a few times. Certainly the cost of housing is an element, but I know in working with Denise Coleman, and I've been involved in all the upper level recruitment processes as well. And we've asked questions of finalist candidates. And while housing and cost of living is an issue, the larger, more overwhelming issue is the COVID-19 pandemic. It has resulted in, that is the item that comes up the lion's share of the time, that individuals, when they withdraw, tell us that they were reluctant to relocate their family during the time of COVID, particularly those with children that have had children in and out of schools, in person and remote, and are reluctant as they get closer and closer to the finish line to want to then relocate any significant distances. And that comes up frequently. There's also just a general concern about making change at a time of such significant uncertainty. Having said that, I'll also say that we have, it's not unusual to have several candidates who are within a reasonable commuting distance to the town of Falmouth. They may not live here, but could certainly commute regularly to their jobs elsewhere in the Commonwealth, and see no problem with a reasonable commute to Falmouth should they need to do that. So they're prepared to do that if the housing market at any particular time, whether it's rental or purchase, is not advantageous for them to consider relocating. The other reality we have is that all permanent hires are required by our standard hiring process to have a 6-month probation. And so those who don't live here certainly are prudent to be cautious about relocating until they've completed their mandatory probationary period. So that plays a role as well. But housing is an element that will continue to be, at least the information we've received to date, it is not the single largest element. We hope things get better.
Thank you. Any other questions for this line item?
Just a point of clarity on
Yeah.
just Julian, what you just said. Is it not common to have a 6-month probationary period for a new employee?
It is very common.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, so the motion for personnel is $326,254. I'll start with Deb.
McGuire, aye.
Sue,
Smith, I.
Judy,
Vignani, aye.
Kathleen,
Terrio, I.
Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Jim,
Newman, aye.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Nick,
Lowell, aye.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Ron,
Aye, all right.
Joe.
Lemay, aye.
All right, thanks very much. Unanimous. Next
Hey,
item
Keith.
is, yeah,
Keith, will you let Dutch in?
I've been trying and he keeps declining. I tried 4 times and he said he declines. I'll try again. Maybe it's something on his end, but I've tried 4 times. The whole time Julian was talking, I was hitting the button and he declines each time. Okay, here he said he's rejoining the webinar. Maybe we got him this time. You here, Dutch?
There he is.
Is he here?
I see his,
I heard everything Julian said, but I didn't want to interrupt him and I didn't know that was you.
Oh, okay. Because I kept trying to promote you and you kept declining and I said, well, be that way.
Well, I thought it was,
That's,
I actually just thought it was the computer kicking in. I'm like, I don't want to interfere. Let him keep going.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your courtesy. Okay, so we did personnel. Next item is, looks like same Sue and Eileen for the disability, which comes right under personnel too. So either one of you all want to.
Go ahead, Eileen, it's all yours.
I move the Disability Commission budget of $250.
Second.
Ron Dyer seconds. Anything you want to say about that sum?
Nope.
Okay.
Perfect.
Anybody want to have a robust
Usually very
discussion?
little to say about it because they don't ask for very much.
I mean, that gets lost in the weeds here. Okay, so let's move with that one real quick. Disability Commission, $250 is the motion. I'll start with Judy,
Vignani, aye.
Jim,
Newman, aye.
Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Nick,
Lowell, aye.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Kathleen,
Terrio, I.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Dutch,
Roulette, aye.
Joe,
Lemay, aye.
Ron,
Aye, all right.
and Nick, I believe somewhere. Did I get you, Nick, already?
You did,
Yeah.
but I'll say
Yeah.
aye again.
Okay. I think I got everybody.
You don't-
Oh, wait.
You
a
need
minute.
to get Deb.
Deb and I don't think.
Okay, then let's do Deb.
McGuire, aye.
Sue,
Smith, I.
thank you for
With
pointing that out to me.
Julian and Dutch in here now, you can't put everybody on the same screen.
No,
You're-
see, that's where I start
see
flipping
everybody on
back
the
and
screen.
forth and I lose
Yeah.
track.
Keith's got a tiny little screen, Dutch.
I'm gonna put it on my TV next time, just so I can see everybody. Okay, so the next item is Sue and Eileen, it's town council and general government.
I don't think it was with Eileen.
Oh, it wasn't?
I don't think
Well,
so.
whoever it was with, I'm
But I
sorry.
do, I do have it, so that's not a problem.
Actually, it was just you. You're right. I'm
Just
sorry.
me. I was gonna say, I don't think I snubbed anybody.
No, it's just you.
I move $550,732. $550,732 for town.
Second.
Okay. Ron seconds it. Go
Pretty
ahead.
cut and dried again this year. Frank is leaving or being replaced on March 7th. He's gonna take the side office until they get a assistant town council and help pick that town council with the new town council and help her get oriented into the job and stuff, and then he will be retiring. Special counsel to date has used 71,000. And that doesn't mean that's all they've spent, because some of the special counsel comes out of the individual projects. There's one law book subscription left that is in print, and he expects that will be going next year. And other than that, it's pretty cut and dried.
Any questions for Sue on town council? Yeah, Peter.
Well, now that we know we have Ms. O'Keefe coming in to replace Frank, I assume we know the salary. Is this an appropriate line? Is this an appropriate line on the personnel budget for town council?
Are you asking, did it change?
Well, if that's not her salary, we can make this correct at this stage.
Oh, okay. I think Jennifer can answer that one, Jennifer.
Yeah, we want to keep these positions at the higher end. And I know she came in at the higher end. She's very well experienced, so there's no reason to decrease it.
Okay. Any other questions for town council? Eileen, you have something? No, Eileen doesn't have anything. Any questions? No? Okay. Then the motion for town council is $550,732. I'll start with Deb.
Dwyer, aye.
Sue,
Smith, aye.
Judy,
Grignani, aye.
Kathleen,
Barrio, I.
Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Jim,
Newman, aye.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Nick,
Oh, aye.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Dutch,
Roll it, aye.
Ron,
All right.
and I think Joe.
Lemay, aye.
All right, thank you. Unanimous on that. We jump to
Can I just
tab.
make one comment on that budget?
Yeah,
before we
please, go ahead.
Just, I think on town meeting floor, as always, we're gonna get why do we rent a building instead of having them in our own building?
Uh-huh.
So I would like to ask the members of the finance committee to give that some long, hard thought, because for the $24,000 we pay to rent that building, we get our snow plowing, he gets his heating bill paid, he get his electric bill paid, he's got his water bill paid. We have no responsibility for that office. And I think when people start to see the price tag that's going to go to refurbishing something like the poorhouse, this is a bargain for the next 40 years. And it
next 40.
always comes up,
Why did you pick 40 years?
because I think you're probably going to see a poorhouse remodeling figure that's $1 million or more.
Okay,
You're paying $25,000 a year to keep him where he is.
so you're
And I
saying
know
it's a good,
He's not supposed to go there, I understand that, but to
So-
find a place for him is not gonna be any different. We're gonna have to remodel it, and this is pretty reasonable for what we get.
okay, so it's a good thing. You're okay with it then.
I'm okay with it, but I know it always comes up on town meeting floor.
It's
Okay.
$2,100 a month. That's cheap.
Yeah.
Okay,
Plus
All
it's
right.
put aside, no one else comes and goes there. He's all by himself.
He's got the privacy he needs when the employees are coming to see him, for sure.
and I don't know, Sue, if you pointed this out, I may have missed it when I was tinkering with the computer here, but there is an annual report that shows up in the, an annual report from town council that shows up in the annual report each year. So I know that was a requirement that was voted some time ago. So just let everybody know about that.
It is actually on the website. All the outstanding cases are on the website.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the next item here, we're going to tab 4. And it's Dutch and Ron, and it's public safety, it's marine environmental.
Take it,
So-
Ron.
Okay, we're gonna move $1,136,486
Second,
for the Marine and Environmental Services Organization.
We have a second from Dutch. Go ahead.
This remains relatively the same from year to year. The only differences are the step increases for the salaried and temporary employees. That's about 46,000, and everything else remains just about the same, if not identically the same. It looked like they were going to have a real problem with COVID and so forth, but as it turned out for this past year, they did exceptionally well with what they were faced with. They're looking forward to an increased amount of activity in the harbor and environs for this year, and they believe that they've got it covered well.
Okay. Is that it?
Dutch?
I got nothing else to add.
Any questions for Ron and Dutch? Anybody? Just out of curiosity, and Ron, if you can't get this one, Jennifer will. There's a line item called salary and wages standby. It's not a lot. It's 3,850. I'm just curious more about what that is rather than anything else.
I did not ask about that.
Jennifer, do you have anything you could tell us just real
Yeah, I
quick?
believe that's animal control.
Oh, okay. So if somebody calls in or
Yeah, it's in the union
They also take
contract.
care of animals
Right.
Okay. All right.
in this department, which is rather unusual.
You mean they run the animal pound or the dog pound?
Yes, that's exactly correct.
They, can I just clear something up? They don't
Yeah.
run the Friends of Falmouth dogs. They bring dogs over there, but they actually, they do control animal control,
Oh,
Right.
okay.
the
Thank you.
animal control portion. Yeah.
I got you. Any questions more? Any more questions, I should say? No? Okay, so the motion for marine and environmental and public safety is $1,136,465. I'll start with Sue.
Abstain.
She's abstaining, one abstain. Judy,
Vignani, aye.
Jim,
Newman, I.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Kathleen,
Terrio, I.
you all just moved on me. Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Jim, did I get you already? Okay, Peter,
Hargraves, aye. I voted twice.
oh, you did, I'm sorry. You all moved really quick in the middle of that. Nick,
LeMay,
aye.
oh, LeMay, okay, thank you. Nick,
Lowell, I.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Dutch,
Roulette, aye.
Ron,
Dyer, aye.
Deb,
McGuire, aye.
thank you. I get everybody. Thank you. Right in the middle of that vote, my computer screen moved everybody around and I kind of lost track going through the columns. Okay, that's that. One abstention. Next item is community development planning. That's tab 4 also.
Tab 5, I think.
Yep.
Oh, is
5.
it tab 5? I'm sorry,
It
I
is.
miswrote. Sorry.
We're gonna move.
You ready, Ron?
$160,588.
Say that again.
$160,588.
No. Are we at plant? Are we on planning?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I read the wrong function. I thought we were going to zoning board of appeals, but
No.
planning is next.
Yep.
For planning. We are talking about $319,435.
Second,
Okay, got a second? Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, hey, excuse me, Keith, are we
Yeah.
gonna let the assistant town planner into our meeting?
I didn't know they were here.
I believe he is, isn't that Jed?
Is that Jed? I did see that name and I didn't know who that was.
He is the second in command since the planning manager left in December.
Okay. I got him somewhere here. Let me, give me a
And-
second here.
Yeah, and we invited, thanks, Jed.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing,
Hi,
Jed?
Jed.
Nice to meet
Very
you.
good.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay. In terms of the planning department, they review all of the plans for the community called the town of Falmouth. And as a result of that, they are shorthanded right this second, but as the town manager pointed out earlier, the activity is moving forward rapidly in regards to interviewing potential candidates. Did I say that correctly, Jed?
You did. Very nice.
For the most part, there's not a whole lot of activity. There's a whole lot of activity in terms of the planning function. There's not a whole lot of activity in terms of changing budget items. It's a relatively small administrative department within the town. But what they also review are memberships, community services, and all of the other potential items that go into making up the rest of the budgets for the town. And to see that all of those things that should be considered are considered by the budget functions. Did I miss anything, Jed?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is we also staff the historical commission. So just like the planning board sees applications on a monthly basis, the historical commission does as well. And so we provide administrative support for those, for that board as well.
Okay. So that's in addition to the planning board, the support that you provide, right?
Yes, that's an addition. Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Ron or Jed on this budget? Yeah, Kathleen.
Just a question about the implementation of the new permit eyes system. Are we there? Are we close? Did we already do that? What's happening with that?
Yeah, so the permanent system, the building module, which is essentially the building component of it, that is live currently. I believe the remainder of the modules, which would include planning, ZBA, health, etc., those are coming online very shortly.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Peter?
So welcome, Jed. Or maybe I should call you Clark Kent in your new role here.
I like that.
Every time we do the planning budget, it kind of reminds me about how few people are there doing this work and how much it always seems like everyone's chewing on planning board's neck, either because they don't agree or they want something done that isn't getting done or other reasons. So, but it's always good to ask the new guy this question, which is your sense that we have adequate staffing support in the planning department? Assuming, once you get a new boss and that he or she is okay and can actually help you pull the sled and all that. But what's your sense? Because my sense for years has been, we don't have enough people doing this work and we have high expectations of the output.
Well, I mean, we can always use the extra help. There's no doubt about that. The planning board is it's a busy board. Every meeting we have a lot of applications before us. In fact, some of the more, I guess not time consuming, but more recent applications are the restaurants that want to change their temporary outdoor seating into a permanent condition. So those are time consuming things that we have to sort of start the process with. So it's hard to say and really answer your question accurately. I mean, I've only been here just about 7 months now. So, and most of those 7 have been without a town planner. So I would say that once, we do have a town planner online, for the most part, we're good, but we can always use the extra help because we are a very busy department, and a lot of the long-term or long-range planning that we just generally don't have time to get to on a daily basis. Those items are really important. And so we can always use help getting those things going and then finishing them, but also looking out for grant opportunities that we can help the community with. So yes, the answer to your question is we can always use more help.
Well, one brief follow-up. The planning board, I guess, is an elected body, and they are deeply involved in what you do. And maybe I'm just not properly considering them as people who roll up their sleeves and dig into the work and make a contribution to the output. So is that the right way to think about the planning board? They're not just kind of a bureaucracy, but they actually do some work?
Oh, certainly. They do a lot of work. In fact, just last night, they created 2 subcommittees to work on and help out the planning staff to look at long-range items that, have just sort of been on the back burner and need to be brought up to the front of the stove, basically. So they definitely roll up their sleeves all the time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You answered that very diplomatically. Well, yeah, I was wondering how you were
Well
going
done,
to handle that one.
Good job.
So very nicely. That put you on the spot, I know.
We
Any
have
other
our
questions?
town planner.
Yeah, it was done well. Anybody else have any questions for either Jed or Ron? Nobody? Okay. So the motion for the planning department and the community development is $319,435. I'll start with Sue.
Smith, aye.
Judy,
Vignani, aye.
Jim,
Newman, aye.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Kathleen,
Burial, aye.
Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Nick,
Total eye.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Ron,
All right.
Dutch,
Roulette, aye.
Joe,
LeMay, aye.
Deb.
McGuire, aye.
Thank you. Jed, I'm sorry if I would have known, I would have put you earlier on the schedule if I saw you. You were there the whole meeting, and thank you for being so patient.
Thank you for having me. It is nice to meet everybody.
Thanks,
Good to
Jed.
meet you.
Thanks, Jed.
Thank you. All right, let's see. Whoops, I better not do that. That would kick out Sue Smith. I don't want to do that. Hang on one
I'll
second.
be happy to leave.
No, I'm not going to let you get away that easy. Okay, he voluntarily left, so I didn't have to do anything. So the next item is, again, it's Ron. It's Community Development Zoning Board of Appeals.
I move $160,588.
Second.
We had a second by Dutch. Okay. Anything?
This
you
is
wanna say?
another very small, in my opinion, very small department, but just like the planning function is asked to do multiple things with a very small staff. They have just 2 people in the office right now and an administrator that participates, and they are helped to some degree by a grant that's given, I believe, by the state to help with that administrative function.
Okay.
But as you can see, $160,000 for all of the appeals that go on an ongoing basis. They are working full-time and then quite a bit of overtime from the exempt staff there. Not a whole lot there, but just the 2 people plus the administrative support.
Okay. Any questions for Ron on this budget here? Ron, go ahead, Peter.
I noticed this is basically a format question, because I noticed this on some other sheets. Why is Ashley italicized in the salary and wages list, and everyone isn't, but some are in some of the other salary and wages lists. Does it mean something?
Jennifer?
Jennifer?
It was
You're welcome.
really helping us to track the budget. These are the ones that are italicized are the ones that were regraded in the warrant article, I believe, in November. So we were pointing them out. It was a very difficult salary budget to put together for moving parts. So it was really for us to show who was
Okay.
being regraded, not just an adjustment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow, Peter, you got some sharp eyes there. Any other questions? I just had one, and maybe Jennifer, maybe you could, I think I noticed that was there a grade increase for the ZBA administrator, one step or something?
Yeah, so you notice there's another article on the warrant and we're regrading her. So we went through a process of looking at positions. We did it for AFSCME. You saw that in November. And Noreen, who the ZBA administrator is a member of AFSCME B, which are a few department heads. So it's a different unit than it is from the administrative. And they went through the same exercise that we put through AFSCME A, looking at job descriptions and the market and where they would stand. And so she was below market. So we are regrading this position.
Okay. Now, one other thing before you click on the mute button, Jennifer, does this reflect that, or do we have to wait for the vote on the article before you can reflect it in the budget?
No, you can reflect it. I have it in the budget. The
Okay.
town meeting warrant article is just, yeah.
Okay, got
That's
it.
fine.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on this item? No? Okay, so for the zoning board of appeals, it's $160,588. I'll start with Deb.
McGuire, aye.
Sue,
Smith, aye.
Judy,
Vignani abstain.
Nani abstains. Jim,
Newman, aye.
Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Kathleen,
Ario, I.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Nick,
Full eye.
Dutch.
Dutch,
Let me get
wake
back.
up.
Dutch. Get back to Dutch. Okay.
Let's sing them a lullaby.
You were
He's
too
asleep.
boring.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Ron,
All right.
Joe.
Lemay, aye.
Okay, we'll put Dutch down, I guess, as definite maybe. Okay, so we have enough votes on that. All right, so
I'll call him and wake him up.
Oh, no.
geez, I put people to
That's
sleep. Now I'm really feeling guilty. I didn't think I was that bad.
Oh.
Jesus. Tough
Actually,
day.
a blow up. It's not Dutch.
Well, he's one of the people that have a job, so I can't fault it. Okay, so the next item is Deb and Sue. I believe it's Community Development's Building Department. And that's tab 5, unless I'm wrong. I don't know. Yeah, it is tab 5. Next item after ZBA.
Is Deb on the phone?
Dutch
Dutch looks awake now.
Hi, Dutch. You just were a definite maybe on that last one. Would you like to vote on that?
Yes, I heard most of it. What I,
Okay, thank you. So we'll make it unanimous. Thanks, Dutch. Oops. Well, it is unanimous. We have one
You
abstention.
had an abstention, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Nick. Okay, Building Department, Deb and Sue.
Want me to do it, Sue? Or are you gonna do it?
No, go right ahead.
Okay, I move $818,733 for the building department.
Second.
Ron seconds it. Okay,
Okay, again,
Yep,
another remarkably busy department. It's amazing how much paperwork this department uses. Right now, they have a vacancy for the commissioner. Eladio, the former commissioner, came back for a while, but he stopped last week. And currently, one of the staff, Gary Street, is stepping up as assistant building commissioner. Sue and I met on Monday morning, and Gary said, well, I've been the acting building commissioner now for 1 hour and 10 minutes. So here we go. The wage increase is strictly contracts, negotiation contracts for union wage type things, and reclassifications. There's a jump on the archiving number 5305. Usually it's been 15,000, but with this 33,750, they will complete all the microfiche and filming of everything since I forgot what year it is. I think it's like 1906 or something like that.
It's back in the 1920s at least.
Right. And I've been doing the building department for years and years that I've been on FinCom, and it used to be you could barely move in the office where you would meet with Eladio because it was nothing but all the records from everything in the past history of the department. So this is really great that they finally got this done and it's easily accessible. And that's all there is. Any questions that we can answer for you, please?
Yeah, Mary.
Keep hearing all sorts of problems with enforcement. Who in the department is responsible for enforcement?
Well, it depends upon, I mean, if it's an electrical issue, it would be the electric, if you look down at the jobs, someone's the electric inspector, someone's the plumbing inspector.
Yeah.
So it's those various things, those various departments.
Well, I do know there's a zoning enforcement officer. Jennifer, can you comment on that, or would you like to?
I'll comment, and I don't know if Julian wants to jump in. I think what you're referring to, Mary, are the articles in the newspaper. Is that what you're referring to, Mary?
Yeah.
All right. So there are some projects that were going on. I think some of it's in zoning enforcement, some of it are other issues with certain developments. But we do have a zoning enforcement officer. I don't want to, talk about what was written in the newspaper. Maybe Julian can jump in. But we do have somebody who does do that.
I did bring Julian up as a panelist. I'm waiting
Okay.
to see if he has joined us, and not seen him yet. There he is. Hi, Julian. Did you hear the question, Julian?
Yeah, Keith, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our zoning enforcement officer is Jonathan Dickinson. Johnson's been with us now about 1.5 years, 2 years, and works closely with the Zoning Board of Appeals and the building commissioner and inspectors in zoning related issues. We've had an extraordinary challenge with the very large number of 40B projects that are all underway at one time, and some zoning challenges there. As the Finance Committee may know, 40B projects are essentially exempt from most zoning aspects of local government, and that presents particular challenges for us. But Jonathan does a good job in working through all those, working closely with staff, and it's strictly a matter of the challenges and the number of 40Bs underway, and occasionally a willingness to on the part of a few developers to maybe not toe the line all the time.
I'm just wondering if we really need more staff to do it. Because
Well,
this isn't just a temporary problem.
The answer isn't necessarily more staff members, but more compliance and potentially stiffer fines for those that violate it, who have been content in some respects. I don't want to go too far with this for legal reasons, but some who are content to pay the fines and thumb their nose at the rules because maybe the fines are not stiff enough, but it's something that merits further exploration. And as the committee is aware, we have been encouraging an increased number of 40Bs, and we've certainly got those. We are as busy on 40Bs as any municipality in our region, but it can be a bit of a blessing and a curse at the same time. We think these things get worked out ultimately, but We also have, sometimes there are complaints that end up to be unfounded because we have, and again, I don't want to go into details and suggest anything that might offend anyone, not anyone on this committee, but elsewhere. We sometimes have neighbors who complain regularly, who are upset that there is a project in their neighborhood. And so they fly spec everything that's going on. And so if a piece of equipment is in the wrong place, or if if somebody starts 10 minutes early, it's not unusual to generate a complaint at certain locations. And we try to follow up on all those, and sometimes to the satisfaction of the complainant and sometimes not. But we feel with the job Jonathan's doing, as supplemented with outside our other inspectors as needed, and also with the assistance of the law department, which has not had the associate town counsel for some time, as I think you're aware as well. We've just been a little bit more challenged than normal, but when we're back to full strength, we think we'll be in good shape with that. And we may need to beef up the ability to find some entities that don't want to always play by the rules. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Julian. Yeah, Peter.
As a follow-up, what does it take to increase the fines?
That's something that I'm going to have to give you a larger answer on and do a little bit more homework on. I wouldn't want to do it out of context with town council, and to be a little bit cautious about where we're going with all that. So
okay, I don't want to put
ultimately the Board of Selectmen need to be involved, depending on the nature of the fine. May also involve the Board of Health, and or some other regulatory boards as well. So I don't want to give a simplistic answer and or be overly simplistic with an answer.
Well, that's good. That's really helpful. I mean, the reason for my concern is we're going to have this big pot of money for affordable housing, and we're going to hopefully have a lot of applicants and more projects. And so this is portents of things to come if we don't get on top of it, as I'm sure you're aware, and that's why you're treating it so seriously, as your explanation indicates. So, yeah, I think fines are good.
Well, you're looking at revenues
We
there.
prefer compliance, but that's the alternative. Yes.
No, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. A lot of people operate that way.
Any other questions for on this matter? None? Okay, so the we have for the building department, we've got was it $818,733. I'll start with Deb.
McGuire, aye.
Sue,
Smith, aye.
Judy,
Grignani abstain.
one abstention on that one, Maniani. Kathleen,
Barrio, I.
Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Jim,
Aye.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Nick,
Lowell, I.
Dutch,
Roll that eye.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Joe.
Lemay, aye.
Thank you. All right.
Aye votes aye as well.
I'm sorry, Ron. I missed you.
No big deal.
Ron Dreyer. Thank you. Let me what I got here now. All right. Thank you, Julian. Thank you very much. Okay, next item is Community Development and Health Department, and I think that's Deb and Sue again, and that's the right next little next item on in the same tab.
I move $532,312.
I
Second.
Okay, we got Ron seconding.
Mhm.
Okay.
Another amazing department that does an amazing amount of work. They're always busy. They're and so vitally needed. Just with COVID, helping in the town with COVID, making sure all the restaurants stay in compliance with all the rules, so we're not poisoning people when we feed them, and getting away with it. They have a new health inspector. They think they're getting that, and they think they'll fill that fairly easily on the salaries and wages. They're always, one of the people who works in the department is in the military and is going to be deployed for upwards of 9 months. So they're going to be down another body. They get some more people in the summer to help out with restaurant inspections. Other than that, ask away. If there's
Any questions? Any questions? Deb, didn't I see where they were hiring somebody for the health department, did you say?
Yes,
Did I-
and they've got the, you're right. Right, they've got an inspector in the budget. Do you see where it
Okay.
says?
Oh, to be determined. I got it. Gotcha. Thank you. I got it. I got it. Now, are these the people that come and actually go into the restaurants and do the inspections? Is that what they do?
Mm-hmm, correct.
Okay. How often do they do that? Just out of curiosity.
Twice to 3 times a year. Sometimes if you're good, twice a year. If you don't, if you're messy, 4, 5, 6 times a year.
Okay.
And if you don't pass something, they keep coming back. You've got X number of days to get it done. And if you don't get it done, okay, you got a couple of more days and then we're going to pull your food permit. So,
Okay. So they're pretty stringent. I know you have experience in the restaurant.
yeah.
Okay. Any
I
questions?
mean, and they're really diligent. I mean, they check your hot water is supposed to be hot in the bathrooms. You know how hot it is to make sure the water's hot in the bathroom. It's got to travel a long distance. So
Yeah.
as soon as the health department comes in, we're all running to the bathrooms, turning the water on.
And you do have
They're
nice
there with-
bathrooms.
Yeah, I mean, they're there with thermometers and they're there with guns, taking pictures of all your food. They go into the refrigerator, there's stated rules on what temperature food is supposed to be held at. And you better
Okay.
be holding it at that right temperature because you're going to get people sick if you don't.
Yeah.
That's
All
good
right.
news, Deb.
Behind the
It
scenes
sure
stuff.
is.
It's the behind the scenes stuff that you don't see too, like,
Right.
not only the restaurants, but like when the Barnstable County Fair is in progress, they're out there every day.
Oh, yep. Yeah, with all these, trailers and stuff, you could be really getting people sick if you don't, if people didn't know, oh yeah, the Board of Health's here and they're going to pull my permit if I don't follow the rules. So.
Just since we're on this isn't really terribly budget related, but it's somewhat. So do we publish somewhere what inspections they do of what restaurants? I noticed some towns do that.
No, we don't. We
Okay.
don't. When we get a 100, we post it on our bulletin board for everybody. It's hard to get a 100. They always catch on something.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. So any other questions for Deb? Okay, so for the health department, the motion is $532,312. I'll start with you, Deb.
McGuire, aye.
Sue,
Smith, aye.
Judy,
Johnny, aye.
Jim,
Newman, aye.
Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Kathleen,
Barrio, I.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Dutch,
Drollet,
Nick,
Oh, line.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Joe.
Lemay, aye.
Thank you. All right, the next item is, looks like Deb and Judy, if I'm correct, and that's the Veteran Services.
Judy,
And
you want
that's
to do it?
tab 7. What's that?
I was asking Judy if she wants to do it.
Oh, okay, tab 7.
I've been talking. You can
Oh,
talk.
okay.
Okay.
I move this budget in the amount of, be a slight pause, $616,998. And we met.
Second.
We got a second by.
Deb and I met with the agent, the veterans agent. He's very happy with his budget. He's happy with what he makes from his, what he get paid, which I never heard that before. Nobody ever said, I'm happy with what the town pays me. And it really, it's pretty much in line. The line item with the grave maintenance has that the one that showed up? They have found what happened out at the Oak Grove Cemetery. I guess they must have cleared some property and they have found quite a few veterans that are buried there. And the veterans agent, that comes upon them to take care of them. So that's the increase in that one. And I think that's about all. Deb, you got anything else? Where did Deb go? Here she is.
Yeah, Deb.
It's just pretty much the same.
You're on mute, Deb.
We always like to hear that on that 5770 line, veterans ordinary benefits, that's an expenditure, but we get back 75% of that,
Yep.
correct? Did I say that right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Any questions on this veterans line item?
I did ask a call today, just curious if they had a figure of how many veterans they've worked with during the year, but Julie said they don't keep track of that. She said a lot, but they don't keep numbers.
Okay. By the way, I happen to know some people that are on the Oak Grove Cemetery board committee. And yeah, they did find a lot of, in an area they didn't know that they think there's at least an indication that somebody's there.
Yeah.
They had kind of, when veterans die in another state during the Civil War or something, they're wondering if they really did truck them all the way here to Falmouth or if they just put a gravestone. And so they were trying to figure that out. Being the transportation, what it was, and these are very old grave sites. These are not recent ones. These are extremely old grave sites. I just happened to know about that. So any other questions? Okay, so the motion for the veteran service is $616,998. I'll start with Sue.
I'm going to abstain because I'm actually married to a veteran that's working with him right now.
Working with
The veterans.
Okay. Oh, okay. Then we'll one abstention for Sue Smith and then Judy.
Vignani, aye.
Jim,
Newman, I.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Kathleen,
Barrio, I.
Eileen,
Miskel, I.
Nick,
Oh, I.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Ron,
Fire aye.
Deb,
McGuire, aye.
Dutch,
Roulette, aye.
Joe.
Lemay, I.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item is Community Services, Human Services, and that's Deb and Ron, it looks like. Is that who we got? Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay,
Ron, you want to do it or you want me to do it?
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay, I move $551,437.
Second.
okay, Ron seconds it.
Okay. This is the Human Services Department. Suzanne, who runs it, I never know how to say her last name, Hopman, is so proud of it. She says no other town on the Cape has a Human Services Department like the town of Falmouth does and provides the services to its citizens like we do. So that says a lot about our town. They take care of anyone who needs help and find them the right kind of help. Make sure they've got a roof over their head or food or bills get paid, or if they need mental counseling. Impressive department. Ask me if you have any questions.
Do you have any questions, anybody? Haven't seen none. Then the motion is for Human Services, $551,437. I'll start with Sue.
Smith, aye.
Judy,
Vignani, aye.
Jim,
Newman, I.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Kathleen,
Barrio, I.
Miskel, I.
Nick,
Oh, I.
Dutch,
Roulette, aye.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Ron,
Aye, all right.
Joe,
Lemay, aye.
Deb.
McGuire, aye.
All right, thank you. So the last item on the agenda is also tab 7. It's the Community Services Recreation, and that's Ron and Dutch.
Ron, that's yours. I wasn't there with you that day. Couldn't make it.
So we're gonna move $614,748 for the Recreation Department.
Second.
Okay, Dutch seconded.
Last year, there was a significant reduction in the amount of money spent. Just take a look at the summer activities. And this year, they're expecting to do a full complement, just like they've had in previous years. And which is one of the reasons for the increase from the actual last year to the budget this coming year. They anticipate, as I said, a full complement of functions. And they've been very busy up to this point. Any questions in regards to any of the particulars or specifics?
Anybody got anything on this? Recreation? Yeah, Peter. Oh, sorry,
So,
Peter.
so the gym floor has been quite a drama over there. It was funded years ago, and because of leaks in the roof, the installation of the floor has been delayed and deferred. And I know that the last time I heard about this, maybe a year or two ago, they were counting on having a new facilities manager who would arrange to finally have the roof fixed properly. So I'm just curious about a status report on the gym floor.
We talked about that, and specifically, the roof has not been addressed as of this point. The attempt to fix the doors that were leaking at the base have been addressed, and they appear to be working very well at this point in time. So according to Joe, and as a result of that, one of the questions we asked was, what is it going to take for you to move forward with the facilities organization to get the one roof addressed so that in fact, then the floor can be completed for the next 20 or 25 years?
So what was the answer?
There is none right this minute.
Jennifer, do you have something on that you wanted, anyone come?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's been several fits and starts with this. First of all, they're trying to figure out where the water came from. And I know that they replaced the doors and then that helped. So we wanted to, get some time behind us so the water wasn't moving in, and replacing the wood floor. If it is a roof issue, that's probably going to be an appropriation. So they're probably analyzing that, or not analyzing it, but they're looking at that right now. So if there's an appropriation for roof repair, that will probably be in the November town meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that good, Peter?
I'll continue to follow the bouncing ball.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions about this budget? None? Okay, so for the Recreation Department, the motion is $614,748. I'll start with Sue.
Smith, aye.
Eileen,
Miss Galai,
Nick,
Lowell, aye.
Ron,
Aye, all right.
Dutch,
Roulette, aye.
Joe,
Lemay, aye.
Mary,
Harris, aye.
Kathleen,
Ariel, I.
Judy,
Yanni, aye.
Jim,
Newman, aye.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
and Deb.
McGuire, aye.
Thank you, unanimous. Okay, that concludes our new business. The only other item I
Hey,
have is
Keith?
just, yeah, go ahead.
I didn't want to interrupt the flow such as it was, since I caused quite a stumble at the beginning. But I did wonder what the Disability Commission does with that $250. And it sounds like almost like there's a group of people and a board that somebody works with. I just wondered what they did, because that wasn't discussed.
Who had that? I forgot.
Eileen,
Jennifer, I mean, do you all want to comment, or you want to punt it over to Jennifer?
You can punt it over to Jennifer for the extent that it's always the printing is the majority of what they do, and they put out information for the disabled.
Sue is. Did you hear me? Sue is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know it says Disability Commission, and they have a commissioner, is what it indicates. So obviously, they're not getting a salary for that. I think it's the personnel department that handles most of that, it looks like to me. Does that answer your question, Peter?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Nick, you had something, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I was just wondering, we haven't done minutes in forever, and considering the open meeting law rules that you want us to sign off on, it seems like we should get some minutes approved.
Jennifer did send me some. I just didn't, I think you sent it today, didn't you?
Yeah, so there was a couple, there's a couple minutes, there were changes. And I think this dates back to November. I have to find Ann's files and change those. But meanwhile, the other minutes that have been done, I've sent to Keith. I think there was one or two that maybe Keith was doing or Sue was doing when we first started meeting in January.
I got the minutes for this school
And-
subcommittee. I need to send them over to Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, and then I just got the minutes for the 26th, the week before that. I think I have 3 sets of minutes or 2 sets of, no, I had 2 sets of minutes that I sent to Keith, and I'm waiting for last week's.
And I
So
sent,
they're in process.
I sent a set of minutes to Keith for one of the finance.
Yes.
committee meetings.
Okay.
Yes, so I just got those from Jennifer, I think yesterday, and I was gonna send an email back to her about them, just to go ahead and send them, to go ahead and publish them. And
Okay.
then, or not publish them, but let me know and I can bring them I can get them out to everybody, we can vote on them. And then Sue's I need to pass on to Jennifer. So I appreciate that, Nick. Does that answer your question good enough, or?
Yeah, it was more of a statement, but yeah, we need to get some minutes approved.
We do.
Well,
I
I just want to say in defense, we had Ann left who did our minutes. It's hard to find minute takers, like it's hard to find a lot of people, and we've had a couple people step up after missing a couple meetings. So, they've been sent out.
The good thing is our meetings are recorded when we're on Zoom, so there is some kind of record that they can look at too. They don't have to be physically at the meeting or current on the Zoom. Okay, the only other admin items that I have, Nikki Walsh says that I have, hang on a second. Let me read her
Yeah,
comment.
Nikki, we have 3 meetings when we're supposed to get our minutes approved within 3 meetings. So, basically that's 3 weeks to get them done. I mean, ideally, we would have that. And it would be nice if going into town meeting, we have at least a lot of them approved before town meeting in case somebody looks up one of these things. Be more likely on an article, honestly, that somebody might look it up. But I just bring it up because Keith, you told us to sign that document, and it talks a lot about minutes in there.
I know. And
You weren't
I'm
supposed to read the stuff, Nick.
Sorry.
I'm probably as guilty. I'm probably the guilty one here. So I'll do the mea culpas on this and get moving.
I haven't
and the
signed
other-
my sheet yet either, though. So
Last
not-
one to the mass.
And
Go
not
ahead.
to make a, not to, I forgot what I was gonna say, but anyways, what I wanted to say is, in order to get the Zoom recording, you have to request it from IT. And I'll be honest with you, I'm just not used to dealing with this. So I failed to request, I just requested the recording from last week today, but Nikki's been great. She's been turning around the minutes. So I just want to say, we know that it's an issue. I want to get them posted to the website. I am weeding through them. Keith has a couple weeks. Sue sent him another. So you have like 3 weeks there. The ones from November that you wanted to change, I'm trying to find them on Ann's computer. So, we are working through these issues.
Yeah,
Isn't it,
you're right.
uh,
Nick is exactly right. Go ahead, Peter.
Isn't it on FCTV now? I mean,
It is.
and so if it's there, does that take the pressure off Is that essentially equal or better than actually having?
No,
No.
Peter, the open meeting law has a very specific requirement for public.
Okay.
meetings.
I haven't
Ron?
read it.
Oh, you better get your certification. Ron,
I'm just gonna ask, are we gonna meet in person next week?
I'm gonna get to that once we
Okay.
get this conversation done. Any other questions or comments you want to make before I get started here? It's very quickly. I don't want to keep everybody. We're hitting up against our 2-hour limit. Next week, we were going to meet in person. I have the, Herman Room at the library reserved. You can, if you're still desirous to participate via Zoom, I'm going to have that set up. So if anybody feels very compelled to do that, rather than show up, let me know ahead of time so I can arrange to know not to look for you there, but to look for you on the Zoom. Open meeting law certifications, I got a few of them in, as you all get to it, if you'd either, you can hand it to me physically when we meet. You don't have to, if you're having trouble, send it electronically. I sent out the article assignments to everybody. If you have any questions about those or concerns, give me a call. We can talk about it. If you have any questions about who to meet with, let me know. We have 5 members that are coming up for reappointment. That's Nick, Ron, me, Eileen, and Dutch. I'll be talking to each one of you to find out anything about that, what you want to tell me, reappointment wise. Then the remaining budget items that we have, this doesn't include the articles, is Consolidated Communications, Fire Rescue, Falmouth Schools, and the Upper Cape Tech. So that's 4 items we will do next week, and that will close out the operating budget. And if you all have any articles, let me know, and I will add it to the to that particular item, to the agenda. I'm sorry. If you're going to ask any one of the department heads or any petitioner or anything to attend, give me a heads up so I know that. If it's a smaller budget, I wouldn't worry so much about having somebody attend. But in the larger, you got like fire rescue and you got the schools, we typically have the school budget and administrators show up. So if you have a petitioner that you're going to show up, let me know so I can know that and arrange the schedule appropriately. And then I know who it is, right?
The
wanna
schools
see
will
that.
be there next week.
They will.
So can we put them first on the agenda?
Yes, I
Because
can do that.
they will want to disappear, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So-
I can handle that.
Next week, so you already got it that fire rescue is next week as well, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so I was gonna ask Tim, when we meet this Friday, Nick and I, with him, to come and resource the meeting for any questions. I suppose he could sign in by Zoom then, because if the schools are going first, I don't want him to sit through all that first. But he
Okay.
could, I suppose. I don't know. What do you think? This is a discussion.
If he wants to, we're going to be in person, if he wants to Zoom in, or if he wants to kind of come in right after that, kind of come in, not right at 5 o'clock, but maybe wait an hour or so, or half hour, it's up to him. He could, we could handle a Zoom if that's what, he's there.
Well, he'd probably come. Are you having people from the school department? Yeah.
Deb?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
So there
said
you go.
that. They will be there next week.
So
Yeah.
people are coming then
Yes.
to
We're
the
meeting in
Herman room.
person, yes.
Okay, so then could we take things out of order to fill a gap? If we tell them to come in like an hour after we're started and then we won't.
We can do that. We can make arrangements.
Okay.
If he's not right there, we'll take something else. And then when he pops in, we can take that one up as soon as
Perfect.
we.
That'll
perfectly
work.
can. Okay. I know
Yep.
we're trying to juggle this about having people show up for these larger budgets. So it's kind of a learning curve here that we're trying to attain. All right. So anybody, if nothing else, I will, we're all complete. And I'll see you next week on February 16th at the library at 5 p.m. Or I'll see you on Zoom, one of the two.
We need to roll call adjourn, except
Move to
Dyer.
adjourn.
Thank you. So we got, I'll start with Ron.
Yay.
Dutch.
Turn your volume off.
Dutch indicated, I can see his mouth say yes. Aye. Deb.
That's correct,
Dutch.
sir.
Thank you.
McGuire,
Dutch.
aye.
Deb, I'm sorry. Mary,
McGuire, aye.
got it. Mary,
Harris, aye.
Nick,
Lowell line.
Eileen,
Miss Glide.
Kathleen,
Dario, I.
Peter,
Hargraves, aye.
Joe,
Lemay, aye.
Jim,
Moon, aye.
Judy,
Vignani, aye.
Sue.
Smith, aye.
And I think that I got everybody. Did anybody I forget? Nope. Okay, that was unanimous to adjourn. Good night, everybody, and we'll close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Night, night. All right.
Peter, that's me calling.
Hey, Nick.